hello, hello. Okay, so today we are talking about the event membership model, and it's very appropriate that I'm coming to you from a beautiful hotel where they host events in order to bring this to you. So we've been talking about the 6 experience models, and that's all part of how do you actually develop and design and build a membership experience. And so today we're going to be talking about one of the 6 models, which I call the event membership model. Now, to just break it down a little bit, so if you haven't been watching, just a really quick recap. So part of the event membership model is myself and Susan Leonardson and Dan Havey, Nicole Kuntz, who are all part of the Geek Out group. We have been building membership experiences for about 3 years now. Plus, I have a prior history of 18 years of building customer experiences and products in the SaaS world. And I will say that the membership space is what is the closest to developing what I call multi-touchpoint experiences. Now, we've been doing that as an agency, but where we oftentimes run into trouble is when somebody actually wants to design and build it for themselves. Plus, usually the membership site builds are not super fun for a lot of people, or they feel really complicated, and all of the decisions around what platform do you use and the design and all of that is sometimes hard. So it wasn't until 2022 at Funnel Hacking Live when Russell introduced the linchpin model, and he said that the very first thing that you have to do in the linchpin model is, this is the geeks version of the linchpin, is to create your continuity. So naturally, what most people would think about in this case is that in order to have good continuity, you need to have some form of a membership site, which makes a lot of sense. So that gave us the ability to be able to serve and talk about membership areas. Okay, now, if you've been watching, you have heard this story, and you know that the next step in our journey is that we studied 160 different membership sites, and we found 3 key things. Number 1 is that there's a huge difference between the business model and the experience model. So we are talking about the experience model. Business model is about what's the offer, what's the price point of the offer, what's the content delivery method. Experience model is more about what am I actually going to ask people to do? How do I want them to feel? How am I going to hold them accountable? What kind of features and functions do I infuse in order to do that? Very different. The second thing that we found is that all of the models need to have a content hub, a place where people can consume the content, a nurture path, emails, texts, DMs, and a community area. Usually it's Facebook groups, but it could be like a Mighty Network or Circle.io or Discord. So there are 6 models, and today we are going to focus very deeply on the event model. Now, the event model is a little bit different than the rest of them. So you can see here that we've mapped the models per the value ladder. And what you'll see is that most of the models fit squarely into one aspect of the value ladder. But the event model, you see it in all the different places. Another thing that's interesting is that for all the other models, it's usually, without a shadow of a doubt, people want to have a membership area to house their content and for people to go into. But the event model is a little bit different. Usually the event is associated with your dramatic demonstration 1 or your dramatic demonstration 2. You do not have to have a membership area to go with an event. But oftentimes there is a membership area, so if people want replays for the VIP access, for the bonus material, if it's an asynchronous event, you have to have some place for people to go. So what people don't necessarily consider is that the dramatic demonstration 1 and 2, aka the events, also need a membership space in order to host the content and be able for people to access the replays. All right, so let's break down some event models as we've seen them. So the key of an event model is that it's a concentrated period of time. It's a huge momentum injection. The purpose is to touch hearts and minds and entertain. And the goal, in 9 times out of 10, especially in the marketing space, is for a larger price point conversion at the end of the event. Okay, so there also are a couple different types of events. So you might have heard them as there's a summit event, there's challenges, there's virtual events, there's physical events, there's webinars, there's masterclasses. We can break these down a little bit more. Summits. So I have done now 10 summits, And summits are a lot of work. They normally are about 90 days. The purpose of a summit is usually for lead generation, and it's usually where I'm going to interview a bunch of people. They're going to come on, I'm going to interview them. I'm going to use that interview material as the entertainment factor. It's usually asynchronous, not normally live, meaning like people can watch it, it's evergreen, people can watch it anytime. And then all of the speakers that I get on, I'm leveraging their platform in order to bring their people onto my list, and they also can share their lead gen and their VIP. They can sweeten the VIP pot with something that they contribute and even do rev share. Okay. So that is the summit model. The one that you see over there right is actually done in ClickFunnels 1.0. It was a special souped up summit that we did where it was a dance summit for dancers, choreographers, and studio owners. And usually in a summit, there is these like types of tickets, and then like a day 1, day 2, day 3, a VIP area, bonus area, etc. So that is what you see over there on the right. Another form of the summit, this is one, for instance, again, it's a more souped up one that we've built in 1.0 where they have, day 1, day 2, day 3 of the summit, with the whole goal at the end is to get them into a larger price point course in this particular example. Okay. Here's one more, and this is a really simple one where basically it's like, okay, here's the summit, here's your speakers, there's day 1, there's themes to each day. Each speaker is decided on which day they go into based on the themes that they're trying to push every day. And then again, you can see continue your journey, which is the upsell after the summit. Okay, so that is the summit. Summits were really popular a little while ago, but because I think there's such a big lift, usually it's hard for people who are just starting to build to take on a summit because it's a lot. And so what we are starting to see now, which is much more popular, is the challenge. So just next week, Pedro Adeo and Russell Brunson are going to be holding their challenge masterclass where they're going to be talking all about challenges. And challenges are essentially a virtual event, but it's a very special type of virtual event which has an order of operation in terms of how they are presenting each day and the purpose of each day in order for the end conversion. The most popular one out there right now is the Your First Funnel Challenge. So that is by Russell Brunson. And you can see here that, again, it's like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. I have my replays, and I have all of the different speakers. And each one has a theme. Each day has a theme for what they're wanting to inspire and help people be able to step into. The next one is virtual events. Virtual events got really popular during COVID. Probably the most popular example is, of course, Tony Robbins and his giant display wall, where he can see all the different people, and that's how he does his Unleash the Power Within event. And so it's just a giant wall and a Zoom session where people are attending. Tony is touching hearts and minds, and then by the end of it, everyone's getting invited into a much higher ticket program with Tony, okay? Then, of course, there are physical events. This one is, of course, a rock concert, but a lot of the marketing, especially if you've been at Funnel Hacking Live, it pretty much feels like a rock concert where it's just it's very jammed-packed with a bunch of energy, and it's very loud, lots of excitement, and at the end, there is a pitch. The next one would be webinars, whether they're live or recorded. They are an event where people are coming on, they're learning something, and at the end of it, there is a pitch, and I'm trying to get them to convert into something higher. But it's highly engaging. I am trying to inspire action at the end, and namely that action is a purchase. And then finally, the masterclass is another popular one. This one is a little bit more tamed down. There's not quite as much energy injected into it, but the purpose is that I want to provide value because at the end of this, I'm going to extend an invitation and I want you to come into my world. Okay, the thing, no matter which of these options that you choose, they're all virtual event, or they're all event models. And again, the intention is that I'm going to inject a lot of momentum, touch hearts and minds, and then ask for a conversion at the end. The biggest difference between an event model and some of the other experience models, especially the sprint one that we talked about last week, is this, and that is the accountability factor. Because the purpose of an event model is to touch hearts and minds and to motivate them into a purchase decision, I am not necessarily thinking, I have a behavior for you and I want to hold you accountable and I want you to do it, right? Nope. It's more in terms of I want to motivate and inspire so that you will purchase in the end. So very much, TED Talks are, and master classes are examples of event models. They obviously don't have a conversion at the end other than with Masterclass, I want you to keep subscribing. And with TED Talks, I want you to take this idea out in the world, right? But I'm not going to hold you accountable for that behavior. So it's very much, I am here to entertain, I am here to inspire, I am here to build you up. But then what you do with it after that is completely up to you. And all of the events also usually follow a very similar pattern. That pattern is I register at some kind of sales page, I'm going to have some kind of VIP page, then there's this build anticipation. And this is where the nurture path is really important. So I'm going to have emails, I'm going to have DMs, I'm going to have some kind of chat engine in the DM. I'm going to maybe even have like a group texting system, like a Telegram or a group Voxer. I'm going to have a Facebook community or some kind of community to like drum up excitement and get people ready. And I'm probably going to have some kind of just regular text message in order to make sure that your butt is in the seat at the event, because that's the best way that I can inspire and connect with you so that you will purchase in the end. In terms of the actual event itself, there's usually, I'm just going to use a 5-day model. It could be a 3-day model, a 5-day model, a 7-day model. Usually it's no more than 30 days. 30 days is really long. Again, because think of it like an event, right? Where you usually don't want to do more than 7 days for an event model. And all of the content inside of those 5 days is usually locked, and it doesn't unlock until that day. And there's always upsells, and there's always this intention of pre-framing for the big pitch at the end. Normally in a 5-day, it would follow this sequence. So there'd be an invite, there'd be a nurture day, then apply day, then there'd be a pitch and a repitch. And there's some variations of that out in industry, but that's the norm. The other pattern that I saw when I was studying event models is that there is always this lobby experience. So think about when you go to Funnel Hacking Live or an event, right? And everybody is like, the energy, right, of like before they open up the doors for the day, like it's palpable. So there's like so much energy. So in the virtual space, you want to try to create the same thing. So countdown timers and lobby spaces and some kind of like videos or animations that are playing beforehand, and this anticipation and this whole concept of like the doors aren't open yet. So in your emails and your nurture path, it's like doors open in 5 minutes. So there's always this lobby experience, whether it's virtual or in person, that builds the anticipation. The next thing is there's usually daily themes. So there's some kind of theme to the day or some kind of pre-frame that I'm really wanting people to understand and get in their head, so that would help them in the buying decision at the end. There's always emotional peaks and valleys. So I want to bring them up with some great story, and I want to also bring them down, right? Like really dive into the range of emotions, because we know that emotions help people make decisions and ultimately buy. I want to get them into their body. So a lot of times the sure way to get people into action and to get them into their hearts is usually to get them into their body. So that's why you'll see like, get up, get on your feet, jump around, right? All of that is to get them into their body, because getting into the body gets into the heart and the emotion of things, right? And when people are in the emotion of things, that also helps them to be able to purchase. It's the feel good, right? The next one is they build, and they build. So every single day, every single speaker, every single moment when they are in there, it is always this build on into the end pitch product, right? And all of the nurtures every day, there's always building of anticipation. Did you see what happened on day 1? It was amazing. Stay tuned for day 2. It's going to be even better. It's going to be epic. Look what happened today, right? There's just this very, very intense emotion injected into every communication and every touch point. And then you always want to reinforce. So you want to reinforce their decision to be there. You want to reinforce the fact that they're taking action. You want to reinforce the fact that they're there and they're going to continue to take action. These are some of the themes that I've seen in every single model that I've explored. So if you liked this video and it helped and you're ready to do your event model, first, come into the Geek Out Academy. We'd love to help you build it, whether it is in an actual site or whether you are delivering your event in person or virtually via some other mechanism, we'd love to help you out with that, using this experience model as the guide to create an amazing event experience for your people. So thank you so much. Stay tuned to future videos where we're going to dive into the remainder of the 6 experience models. So, go ahead and subscribe and like, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.